Welcome to Align Christ-Centered Yoga. My name is Linda and I'll be guiding our practice today. My question for you today is this. Throughout your day, are you intentionally choosing to follow Jesus? I just got off a mission trip. I am not service-oriented by nature. That is not my primary love language. It is not in my top 3. And I am not a morning person. And every morning that alarm would go off, and after sleeping in the hot gym on the floor, I would have to get up ready to go. And it was a choice and it was hard. And yet it was so rewarding each day and every moment to choose to step outside my comfort zone, outside my love languages, to follow Jesus. Joy bubbled up. Today, our scripture verse comes from Joshua. And he tells the people this: choose for yourselves this day whom you will follow. And he is challenging the Israelites who have strayed so often from God. And he is saying to them, are you really all in? From My Utmost to His Highest, written by Oswald Chambers. Chambers says this: when God gives me a vision of truth, there is never a question of what he will do, only of what I will do. A little later he says, your choice must be a deliberate determination. It is not something into which you will automatically drift. And finally he says, you have no business trying to find out where God is leading. The only thing God will explain to you is himself. So regardless of the uncertainty of the future, today, are you willing to make the hard choice to follow Jesus? Today's practice will be a slow flow designed to just release all of the tension in the body, a full body release. And as we go today, I'm going to give you lots of choices. So practice intentionality, check in, notice what's going on. Make choices that honor your body, but not just your body, because sometimes it's all about your attitude or your mind or your energy level. So throughout the practice, I invite you to make it your own and to be intentional about each pose you enter into and come out of. Closing your eyes, begin to let the space around you fade away. Let go of the sounds, the smells. Draw your attention inward and find your breath. Begin to slow your breath down, inhaling down the body, exhaling up the body. And finding intentionality in breath. Let's find a box breath. So inhale for the count of 4. And hold your breath for 4. And exhale for the count of 4. And hold your breath for the count of 4. And continue here 3 more times. So that deep breath in, 4, 3, 2, 1. And hold, 4, 3, 2, 1. And exhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. And hold. And continue here 3 more on your own and find your pace. Find your count. Begin to notice the body's response to this breath. And as you finish this final breath, begin to deeply breathe in and out without the hold, smoothing out the breath. Can you breathe a little more three-dimensionally? A little wider, a little deeper, a little longer? Can you breathe into the back of the body? Can you feel the muscles of the body begin to relax and release? Take one more breath here. Gently let your chin drop down and feel the weight of the head drawing forward. Perhaps feeling a stretch across the upper back from the neck to the shoulders, maybe down the center of the back. And then gently bring that right ear to the shoulder, chin forward, left ear to the shoulder. Can you connect breath with movement? Inhaling as that ear comes out to the side, exhaling as the chin comes forward. And one more time like this. And the next time that right ear comes to that right shoulder, leave it there. And begin to make a number 8 with your nose. Just noticing what's happening in the neck today, again, maybe in the shoulders or the back. And then as you're ready, find your stretch. So make the choice. It doesn't have to look like a traditional neck stretch. Maybe you're looking behind you or to the side. And if you want a little more, go ahead and walk those left fingertips out. Bring the right hand up and over the head and just gently guide the head into a slightly deeper stretch. Exhaling, let the hand come down, bring the chin forward. And then gently bring the left ear to the left shoulder. Maybe readjust the posture a little bit. Draw that number 8 with your nose. What do you notice on this side? And then as you're ready, settle in here and find breath. And walk the right hand out if you want a little more. Again, just really intentionally finding the stretch that's right on this side, noticing how it may differ than the other side. Bringing that left arm up, hand over the head. Again, optionally, maybe you don't need that extra stretch. And as you're ready, release, bringing the chin down. Taking a deep breath in, bring the arms up and overhead, interlacing fingers, press the palms up, reach the wrist creases to the sky, walk the shoulders over your ears, and then gently draw the rib cage in and let the shoulders sink towards the hips. From here, take a deep breath in, look up, look down. So just one more neck release here, 3 more times. Are you still moving with your breath? Let the head rise to neutral, jaw parallel to the floor. Bring hands to prayer and hands to heart. And closing your eyes. Who do you choose to follow today? Exhaling, bring the hands down. If you're up on a prop or a block, come off of that. Bring any props to the front edge of the mat. Meet me in table on hands and knees. So fingertips are spread wide, knees are hip width apart. Smack through the tops of your feet. Press into the tops of your feet. Notice the difference between toes curled under, a little bit of a foot stretch, an ankle stretch, a little more pressure on the knees, and feet flat to the mat, pressing through the tops of the feet. A little pressure, you'll feel the pressure more on the shin below the knees. Which is best for you today? If you want more padding underneath your knees, you can roll up your mat at the back and bring the rolled mat underneath the knees. From here, exhaling, draw the belly in, begin to explore cat. And bringing the heart through the arms, collarbone to the sky, arching the back, cow. Connecting with breath, exhale to cat, inhale to cow. And one more time here. And choose cat or cow. So whichever pose is best for you in this practice, begin to find the strength in it and anchor into it, using the core muscles of the abdominals and the back, pressing the earth away from you. Why did you choose this pose? Release, come back into table, draw hips to heels, find your child's pose, and gently move from child to table. And one more time, child to table. And then round yourself up into a kneeling mountain. So the arms and the hands rise high to the sky. Again, let's bring those shoulders as high as you can. And then very intentionally draw them down the side of the body. Find width across the back, breadth across the upper back. From here, exhale and come into child's pose, hands forward, hips behind. Inhaling, rise into cow. Exhaling, find cat. Breathing in, kneeling mountain. Exhaling, child. Twice more through this. Cow to cat. Kneeling mountain to child. As you move through it this final time, find your pace, work with your breath. Maybe you stay a little longer in one pose or the other. When you come into child's pose, stay there and check in and notice what position you came into child with. Where are your legs? There's no right or wrong here, just noticing. Are they wide? Are they narrow? Are your big toes touching? Are your feet apart? Can you breathe a little more length into the spine? And then on that next exhale, come into table, curl the toes under and meet me in downward facing dog. So bring the knees into the rib cage, let the head drop down and shake the head out no and yes. Begin to pedal through your feet. Moving your hips side to side. Taking a deep breath in, let heels rise, and exhaling, let those heels come down towards the mat. And as you find this downward facing dog, can you begin to press the hands forward as the shoulders draw back? Begin to activate the muscles of the legs. Deep breath in, right foot rises to the sky. Heel to hip, knee to sky, begin to open up. And come back to center, squaring the hips, gaze forward, bring that foot all the way through the hands. Find blocks if you have them. I would invite you to actually bring them up all the way to their full height today. Let that back knee drop down and up. A couple more times. Keeping the weight out of the hands so that the support is coming from the abdominals. And then as you're ready, just let that back knee drop. Again, do you want to keep that foot flexed or flat to the mat? And just begin to walk the blocks to your hips. Maybe take those blocks just a little bit behind you and find a supported back bend. And as you do this, can you draw that left hip forward, opening up across the psoas? And release and come up. Go ahead and bring the blocks in front and lower the blocks down. Begin to straighten and bend this front leg. So again, I said lower it down, but let's be intentional for you. Maybe those blocks stay high. Maybe you don't need blocks at all. As you're ready, find your hamstring stretch. Flex the foot, point the toes. A couple more times here. How does that change the pose? How does that change the stretch? And as you're ready, straighten out that leg, come into the hamstring stretch, and choose. Does that foot stay flexed? Does the foot go flat to the mat? And then lengthening through the spine, begin to fold the body over the leg. And release any tension in the head and neck. Gently release, bring that knee over the ankle, blocks to the side. Raise the back leg, bring the front leg to the back, meeting me in a full plank. And then from plank, drop down to your knees and find table. So from table, again, find cow and cat. And rise up to kneeling mountain. And exhale into child. Breathing in, meet me in downward facing dog. Staying here for 2 breaths, checking in, finding the pose, noticing the effects of that stretch sequence on the body. On the next inhale, the left leg rises high, heel to hip, knee to sky, open up. And then squaring the hips, draw the gaze forward and float that foot through the hands. And again, if you have blocks, bringing them all the way up, begin to drop and lift that back knee. So as the knee comes down and up, what are you feeling in the hip, the back, the legs, maybe even the wrists or the shoulders, right? And as you're ready, let that knee come down. Again, is that back foot, are the toes curled under? Are they flat? Engaging through the abdominals, begin to just walk those blocks back. Come a little bit behind you. Come into that supported back bend. How wide can you open up shoulder to shoulder? What happens if you bring that right hip forward just a little more? Place a little more emphasis at the base of the big toe of the front foot. Gently bring those blocks forward again. Maybe bring them down a level. Begin to find that hamstring stretch as you straighten and bend the front leg. So a couple more times here, just noticing how this leg is responding to the stretch. Finding that edge between tension and struggle, never moving into that place of shaking or pain. So extend the leg, and now explore flexing and pointing the foot. How does that feel on this side? Which stretch is better for you on this side? Maybe it's different. It is for me. Settle in, find your stretch, let the body fold over the leg. Square off the hips if you notice that your hips are starting to swing out to one side or the other. And find breath. As you're ready, release. Go ahead and bend that knee. Bring the blocks off to the side, hands to either side of the foot. Raise that back leg. This time that back foot is going to hop up to meet the front. Bend the knees deeply. Find your first forward fold, holding onto the elbows, letting the back of the head reach towards the mat. Just gently swing side to side. Hands to the mat, begin to straighten and bend the legs. And find your forward fold. So again, all of the options in this forward fold. The emphasis is on lengthening through the back, finding that hip crease and hinging from there. So if you have very tight hamstrings or a very tight back, maybe you're using blocks. Maybe your knees are deeply bent. What's best for you? Hands to shins, rise up halfway. Breathe out and come down. Taking a nice deep breath in, come all the way up, mountain pose. Hands to heart. Take a deep breath here. Press into that right foot, bring that left foot back behind you. Take a deep breath in. Bend that left elbow. So let the hand come down to the shoulder. Find your lunge, sink into your lunge. Draw the rib cage in, shoulders over hips. And then maybe you stay here. Maybe this opposite hand turns to the outside, comes around. Maybe the hands connect, maybe not. Gently just come up and over if you want more stretch. So again, be intentional about this. This stretch may look like this with the hand at the insertion of the elbow. You may be connected at the back. You might be leaning to the side. What's best for you right now? Release. Keep your right hand down and at the base of the spine. Bring that left arm across and find a twist. How deep can you breathe? How deeply can you breathe? As you're ready, release. Hands down to either side. Go ahead and bring that front foot to the back. Meet me in plank. Drop the knees down and just hover them over the mat. So this is the option, or you can bring your knees all the way down. But we're just going to stay here for another breath, strengthening through the abdominals. And then let the knees come down. Meet me in table. Find cow. Find cat. Rise into kneeling mountain. Come into child as those hip creases draw back to heels. Meet me in downward facing dog. Stay here, check in, notice the effects of that stretch sequence. And the feet, the ankles, the right side of the body, the left side of the body. Drawing the gaze forward, walk or hop your feet in between your hands and find your forward fold. And hands to shins, rise up halfway. Exhaling, come down. Breathing in, come all the way up to that mountain. Hands to heart, stay here. Leave the left leg where it is. Bring the right leg back behind you. Find your lunge. Deep breath in, arms rise up. Let the shoulders soften and drop. As you're ready, bend that left elbow. So again, the elbow is just going to rise up while the shoulder stays dropped. Maybe that's enough. Maybe this other hand comes all the way around, palm out and up, and the hands connect. If you still want more, you're just going to drop towards that lower shoulder, coming over to the side. Gaze up. One more breath here. And release. Bring that left hand to the small of the back, support it, right arm up, find your twist, and bring the right arm all the way across that front leg. Find breath. And one more breath here. As you're ready, hands to either side of that foot. Float the foot to the back. Meet me in plank. Again, maybe you stay here, or maybe those knees drop, coming down to kneeling plank, or just hovering over the mat. Walk your way back to table. Inhale to cow. Exhale to child. Rise up to kneeling mountain. To cat. And now find your child. And find your breath. As you're ready, meet me in downward facing dog. On the next inhale, the right leg rises high, heel to hip, knee to sky. Square off the leg in three-legged dog, square off the hips, draw the gaze forward and float the foot in between the hands. Bring the back foot to warrior one, deep breath in, sweep those arms behind you and rise into warrior. So that back foot is angled towards the back edge of the mat. Pinky toes are touching the edge of the mat. You're wide. Go ahead and straighten out that front leg. Bring that right hand to your thigh. So again, options here. For most of us, we're going to bend that knee as we come forward and then bend the back, rounding the back over the legs, sweeping that opposite arm down and then up. Some of us are more flexible. Maybe that front leg stays straight. Again, what's right for you on this side? What's right for you today? 2 more times here, moving with breath. Can you move through this entire movement intentionally? As you're ready, lunge that front leg forward, bring the arms up, meet me in warrior two, or warrior one, sorry. Hands to heart, hinge forward at the hips, and find a twist. So again, so many options for this twist. You can be up higher where we were before, if that's better for you. Hands can be connected. Fists can, your bottom hand can be in a fist if that's better. Arms can also open wide. Exhaling, hands to either side of the foot. Bring the back foot to the front. Meet me in forward fold. Hands to shins, rise up halfway. Exhaling, come down, pressing through the feet, rise all the way up. Mountain pose, palms together, hands to heart. This time staying here, checking in for a couple of breaths, just noticing the effects of that warrior one sequence on the body, on the heart rate. Check in mentally, spiritually right now. One more breath here. Deep breath in, arms rise. Exhaling, forward fold. Hands to shins, rise up halfway. Exhaling, come down, bring your feet to plank. Again, maybe you just stay in a long plank. Maybe those knees drop all the way to the mat. Maybe they hover an inch above the mat. And then as you're ready, come back into table. Find a neutral position of the spine. Inhale into cow. Exhale to cat. Rise up to kneeling mountain. And find your way back to child's pose. Curling the toes under, meet me in downward facing dog. And check in. This time the left leg rises high, heel to hip, knee to sky. Open up the body. And square the legs off as that leg rises and the hips square to the mat. Gaze comes forward. Crunch through the abdominals and float the foot through the hands. Bring that back foot wide on the mat. Hands sweep behind you, rise into warrior one, left leg forward. Can the hips and the shoulders stay square to the front of the mat? Maybe draw that rib cage down, that belly in. Straightening out that front leg, left hand to thigh. Go ahead and try it the first time, bending your knee as you come all the way down and up. Check in. What's your flexibility on this side, the hip stability on this side? And if you can still really get that full release of the back and keep that leg a little straighter, maybe you explore that. So 2 more times here. Still moving with your breath. Exhaling down, inhaling up. And as you're ready, that opposite arm lifts up, that front leg lunges forward. Hands to heart, find your twist. Maybe it's high, maybe you're hinging at the hips and coming across. How are the hands connected? Or maybe the arms are extended. Can you draw the shoulders away from the ears, towards the hips? As you're ready, release. Come back center. Bring the front foot up to meet the back, back foot up to meet the front. Losing my words here. Find that forward fold. So in forward fold now, go ahead and take the hands from one heel up and around to the other. Let the gaze stay behind you, back of the head towards the mat. And find your forward fold and settle. So maybe you're using blocks, maybe the knees are bent. I recommend keeping the feet hip width apart because anatomically that's more stable. Hands to shins, come up halfway. Exhaling, come down, pressing through the feet, rise all the way up. Hands to heart. Just check in, again, just noticing the effects of the sequence. Let the hands come down, shake it out. Press into that right foot, bring the hands out to the side, draw the belly in. Bring that left foot up just underneath the knee. Maybe your tree comes up a little higher as that foot comes up over the knee and the thigh presses into the foot and the foot into the thigh. Maybe you stay here. Maybe the arms rise. Again, be intentional. Maybe your left arm drops and you can bend over towards that high knee. Wobbles are fine. Can you come up? Hands to heart. And gently come out of the pose. So again, working with whatever you have today in this moment. Pressing into that left foot. Hands come out. Lift the body up and out of that hip. Find the support in the abdominals. Maybe that foot stays low. Maybe it's still just hovering over the mat. Maybe it comes all the way up. Maybe both arms rise. And that right arm could come halfway down as you begin to bend at the waist and come over to the side. And deep breath in, rising back up again. Hands to heart. And come out of it and shake it all out. Nice deep breath in, arms rise, exhaling, find your forward fold. And hands to shins, come up halfway, and exhaling, come down, and one leg back and then the other, and meet me in plank. And this time, drop the knees down and come all the way back to child. And from child, come up to table. And child to table twice. And hips drawing back, just meet me in child's pose and stay there for a couple of breaths. And find length as fingertips reach forward and forearms press into the mat. And hip creases draw back towards that wall behind you. And maybe you activate it a little bit as the elbows, you just imagine the elbows drawing in a little towards the hips. Gently press into the hands and come up. Bring the feet forward. Stay here for a moment, feet wide, just gently massaging across the glutes as the knees drop down side to side. Can you hear my floor creaking underneath me? And as you're ready, the feet come forward. Go ahead and come down onto your back. And then lift up just enough that you can bring this underneath your back. So the block is going to be above the tailbone and below the spine, okay? So it's right underneath the sacrum bone. So find this very comfortable position here. And begin to think about being very intentional in this pose. So here are some options. Maybe you really press down through the shoulder blades and the feet. Or maybe the weight is on the block. Another option for you is to raise your legs to the ceiling. So if you want to try that, just bring that right knee in and press the foot up towards the ceiling. and then the left. So again, make sure that you're stable on that prop. Feel the body weight get heavy. Imagine the heels reaching towards the sky if your legs are elevated. Let's take 2 more breaths here. And gently bring one foot down and then the other, feet to the mat. And pressing into your feet, lift up just enough that you can move that block out of the way and bring the back flat to the mat. So settle in here and notice how the body has settled into the mat. And then bring the knees in and just bring them into the rib cage and away, back and forth here. And extend the legs long. So as the legs extend, maybe windshield wiper the feet in opposite directions or the same direction, and maybe wiggle your hips a little bit. Bring your hands up towards the sky, palms facing in, and reach as high as you can. And with those arms still long, just let the shoulders thump down, and do that twice more. And then as you're ready, let the hands come down to your side, palms up, and find breath. So as you settle into Shavasana here today, who do you choose to follow? Maybe consider the choices in front of you. Where is there margin in your day for Holy Spirit appointments and conversations? Maybe you need to psych yourself up for something you really don't feel like doing. Whatever it is, can you use these final moments of class to breathe in that obedience and the courage to follow Jesus, and to breathe out whatever barriers there are? I invite you to stay here a little longer if you can, but if you need to move on with your day, gently come back to the breath and begin to gently move fingers and toes, rotating wrists and ankles, turning your head side to side. And taking a deep breath in, bring arms up and overhead and stretch as long as you can, fingers to toes. Gently bend the knees and roll over onto your side. And find breath. Just let your heart rate come back to normal, your blood pressure stabilize. And gently press into your hands and rise to sitting. Check in one final time, body, mind, and soul. Noticing what has changed since you came to the mat today. What has stayed the same? Just noticing. And your next inhale, let arms rise high, palms together, and exhaling, hands to heart, joining me in prayer. Jesus, today we choose you. So with hands open wide, we offer up our calendars, our schedules, our appointments, our intentions. And we ask that you use those and shift them as you will. That our day may be filled with Holy Spirit moments, conversations, appointments, all so that you may be glorified. It is in your name that we pray. Amen. Thank you for practicing with me today.